Hey everybody, I have a video here for you today, and this is one I wanted to make because I'm going to be busy for the next days, and I don't think YouTube is going to be part of my plans, but I wanted to talk about the Middle Pyramid today, and I talked about the Small Pyramid in one of my last videos. But the Middle Pyramid, I think all three of these pyramids were built at the same time with a single purpose, and I've gone over that in some of my earlier videos. And the Sphinx, what we call the Sphinx today, I think was built at the same time. And I think the attribution to the 4th Dynasty pharaohs is highly questionable. I think they did, obviously, do some work on the Giza Plateau. They state that, but they also state that they have no idea who built these original structures, and they just call them the gods. And the flimsy evidence that the 4th Dynasty pharaohs, roughly 4,500 years ago, built this entire complex is just highly flimsy, and it seems that there were original structures at Giza, and I think personally they were built around 11,700 years ago. I mentioned that in my last video. There is evidence that seems to suggest this from the earliest Egyptians, the Dendera zodiac for one. The very center of that seems to be a time right before Cancer that the time spirals out from, suggesting that the dynastic Egyptian civilization spun out of that time period. The Turin's Kings List, other things, and also the Temple at Edfu, I should have mentioned this, says that the dynastic Egyptians, their whole legacy spun out of a time period where survivors of an island to the west came to Giza and started what became the dynastic Egyptians, and that happened. Evidence has proved it, roughly around, 9,500 to 9,700 BC. So I think these were constructed either right before or right after that disaster, and to me it seems it was right before. They wanted to leave their legacy in stone, and they wanted to leave it for a long time. Whoever built these, and I think it was us, just a much different us, and I stated that. Now let's just do a little reading. It says, because its apex is in better condition and it is located on an elevation, Khafre sometimes appears to be the largest of the 3 great pyramids of the Giza Plateau. However, originally it was some 3 meters lower than its neighboring pyramid belonging to Khafre's father, Khufu. In fact, the walls of Khafre's pyramid are steeper than the Great Pyramid of Khufu, and so it contains considerably less mass. Its name is Khafre the Great, and that is a name that is highly questionable. There seems to be original names to these buildings. It says Khafre may have, prior to his succession to the Egyptian throne in the 4th Dynasty, been named Khufu, and according to Stadelman, may have built a large double mastaba in the east section of Giza. And yes, these pharaohs of the 4th Dynasty built some of the small satellite pyramids. That's all they did at Giza. And they might, I will give you this, they might have done some repair to the pyramids. But I even question that a little bit, to how much they would have done. It says, however, his older brothers, Kaub and Khafre, apparently died early upon taking the throne of Upper and Lower Egypt. His name was changed to Khafre. It says, one of the grandest pyramids in Egypt, his construct has been much studied, with a history of modern research not unlike that of Khufu's monument. In 1818, the strong man of Egyptology, Giovanni Bolzoni, succeeded in penetrating into the pyramid's interior after a failed attempt by Giovanni Caviglia only a year earlier. Bolzoni discovered the pyramid's upper entrance and managed to investigate its subterranean sections. However, the first extensive exploration of the monument was made in 1837 by Piramid, and that is just a little bit, and of course there is a valley temple, and let's just look, this is the diagram of the northern entrance, the causeway, which I think is aligned to the sunrise on the winter solstice. Here is the Sphinx perfectly aligned to the east. Now, here is a picture, and I'm going to be going over this in my Great Pyramid video. The builders of these monuments were total shadow masters. Here is the shadows being put out on the spring equinox. Here is the Sphinx right here. And I'm going to be going into this, and it's all about where these monuments are positioned on the earth that allows the shadow play to happen. And I think this is totally fascinating, and this is one of the things I'm going into when I talk about the Great Pyramid. And that video will be thoroughly extensive, trust me on that. Now, here we are down at ground level. The casing stones, still some of them locked into place at the top. And these were on the pyramid up until probably the last 1,000 years, and there is some controversy of when they all came off. And here is where they quarried the stones, the huge megalithic stones for the core of the pyramid, in this weathered side over here. But I just am running out of time, and I'm going to take you out with a tour of this place. I think these buildings were erected thousands of years before Egyptology. The Egyptologist says they were. The flimsy evidence that Khufu and Khafre built these structures is, part of Khafre's name is on the dream stela down at the Sphinx, just part of his name. So they associate him to the Sphinx and the attached Khafre pyramid. No bodies have ever been found in any pyramids of pharaohs. That's a ridiculous theory, and I'm sick of hearing it from even, people who think they know what they're talking about. And Khufu, he did bury a boat outside the Great Pyramid, but I think that was just simply to try to attach his legacy to these original grand structures. And let's just go over, and this is the layout of, if I can find the right pic here, this is the not much steeper, but steeper Khafre pyramid, they call it. And here is where it would have ended if the casing stones were still on it. And I find this most fascinating, and I haven't mentioned this, but if you would drop a line from the top of the pyramid straight down, there is an underground chamber down here. Also in the Great Pyramid, if you do that, there's an underground chamber beneath the apex. And I'm sure many of you have seen the videos from Teotihuacan, the Pyramid of the Moon. Structures directly beneath the apex have been found down at Teotihuacan in the Pyramid of the Moon. And if anybody tells you they know who built those original structures, they're lying to you. And I have never mentioned this. At Angkor Wat, you take that middle steeple at Angkor Wat and you drop a line straight down. There is an underground chamber around the middle highest steeple at Angkor Wat. I just wanted to mention that too. So why the similarity in pyramids in Egypt, Mexico, Cambodia? Was there a civilization a long, long time ago that built these original structures with the same plan? I can't help but think that. Now here we are on the north side of the Pyramid of Khafre, according to Egyptologists. I think that needs to be highly questioned. And I'm going to take you out with a little musical tour, some aerial footage, a little journey inside of this pyramid, through the passageway, and then the so-called tomb chamber, and just to look around. And let me just ask you this. Would a pharaoh who wants to be immortalized for eternity, would he have built one of the most grand structures on the face of the earth and not put his image, his cartouche, any of his life story, any of the other things that pharaohs did in Egypt? Would he have failed to totally leave this devoid of any mention of himself? Personally, I think that is absolutely ridiculous. Now here is a musical tour of the Pyramid of Khafre. I really need to get going. Hope you thought this was interesting, and you all have a very nice day.